This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I'm talking to Marko Kozlowski, and he's in Orlando waiting for a hurricane to hit. So, look, it's even kind of got the right picture on the back wall. Maybe if there you go. And he does some mime work on the side, some meme work, meme. And we're gonna be talking about virtual investing, but specifically in small multifamily apartment buildings, and he's going to talk to us about how to get your first 3 to 5 multi-unit complex with none of your own money and cash flowing from the day you start. And he's going to talk to us about how to do that. How you doing, Marko?
I'm fabulous. How are you, man?
Doing good. Saying a prayer for you guys over there in Florida.
Well, thank you. I think we'll be okay. It seems to be like far away from where we are now. So
yeah, I said that once, and it landed right on me. Another time, I was running from it, and I went right where it hit.
That sounds like my second wife.
All right, man. So, hey, give us a little background. Who are you, where you been, and what have you been doing to get here?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I've been in real estate since 99. I used to be a concert pianist. That's my background. I got married when I was 18, had 4 kids at 24. Do things quickly. And
you're an overachiever, my friend.
Almost. And I was a stay-at-home dad, actually, and it wasn't through, and we were having huge financial problems, as you know, I was a musician, so I didn't make very much money. I made $5,000 a year Canadian, because I'm from Canada, and $5,000 a year Canadian is like $20 American. It's terrible. Not making a lot of money, and as you know, when you're having financial problems, number one cause of divorce is?
Financial problems.
Is marriage. It's marriage. But the second is financial problems, of course. And I actually got custody of the kids, and I had a choice. And my background is music, and I could always be away and never see the kids, or I could find something else that would actually allow me to stay home and be the dad that I wanted to be. And that was real estate. I actually saw an infomercial, bought the product, and just went bananas on how to do creative real estate, and never really looked back. And started with houses. Then from houses, I went to small apartments, from apartments to bigger apartments. Then I went to hotels, storage units, and and now assisted living facilities, and a whole bunch of other things that I have in my portfolio. But the big idea is, since I was Canadian and I don't have any credit, and I have no social, I basically used other people's money to buy everything, or existing financing that was there to buy everything. And that's all I've been doing for the last 20 years. So now
OPM, what a wonderful concept.
It is. You give someone a great return, and in exchange, you make a great return as well. I'm actually in the sandwich business. I get the money at this, and the property makes me that. I make the spread. And then what we do is refinance it at a lower rate after 5 years, or actually within 1 year at a 5% interest over 30 years. And so I go from a 10% interest rate, because I get the money quickly, to a 5%. So my returns become quite interesting. Plus, when we refinance, we pull out money tax-free. So pulled out hundreds of thousands. A couple of deals I pulled out over 7 figures on one transaction, which is always a nice thing. And of course, it's always tax-free. So we can take that money and recycle it into something else.
At least tax deferred, anyways. Or would you say tax-free? You're just saying at some point you have to pay a tax, though, right? At some major event.
Only if I sell, but if I sell, I 1031 it anyway. So
yeah. So the name of the game, right, is postpone.
Yes, until death do us part. Yeah, and then if when I die, my kids will get those assets, since they're in trust anyway, or in entities that will pass on to my kids. That'll be a tax-free occurrence anyway, and that capital gain, that depreciation will die with me, and then they'll have to deal with it. But
yeah, poor kids, poor son of a gun.
Yes. Call me Gene Willikers.
Yeah, I told my wife, if you can't live off of $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 a month, just go shoot yourself. I don't know what to tell you.
Something like that.
Yeah. So how was it? So the first thing started out as houses, right? That's kind of usually how everybody.
I started with houses like everyone else does, and actually went from houses to luxury property, because there was a lot of people when I started in early 2000s, and everyone was into small houses, and I didn't like the competition. So from there, I went to luxury, because no one was really doing luxury property. So I mastered how to tie up property, option them, basically just control the property without actually buying it, and then doing an auction to sell it off at top dollar. So it was, and we'd make the spread. then do that over and over and over again. And then I taught that for a while. The challenge with that is it was very complicated, a lot of moving parts, and very difficult to get results unless you're really on top of it. And generally people don't have a lot of time to put into real estate investing. I was doing this full time, and if you didn't have full time or really got it right away, it was difficult to see results. So I went, and the crash happened. Obviously, I lost hundreds of houses, and I was going through divorce, my second divorce at that time. Lost everything. Actually, was homeless, and I had 2 apartment buildings that actually went up in value while the crash happened because people lost their homes. They needed to rent somewhere. Rents went up. And if rents go up, the value goes up because it's based on income. The value is based on income, not on necessarily anything else. So
See, I know that dynamic all too well because I sell or finance properties, and I base my OFV, or the owner finance value, on the rents. And during the middle of the recession, my price of my owner finance house for sale was going up because I back into a rental formula. I figure out what the rents are and I back into it to find a price. I'm actually selling my houses like on a cap rate, like you would apartments or storages. And so when the rents are going up in the middle of the recession because no one can buy, well, then of course my owner finance price was going up. I had the only sales price going up in houses in the whole state or nation probably. And my bankers refused to understand it until they just could not deny it anymore. And I kept turning the paperwork and saying, look, I bought this house X amount of years ago. They went in foreclosure because of the recession. I got it back. Now I'm selling it for way more than I was before. So at some point, though, you want to minimize the moving parts. And so you started buying bigger complexes where you get more doors at one time, right?
Yeah. And we do about 1,500 doors a year is kind of where we're at right now. Pretty consistent at 30% off of retail. I don't buy anything retail ever. I buy below wholesale, actually. That's the only way to buy anything, at least in my world. And the way we do that is by finding people that are very motivated that need to sell quickly. And the reason we need to buy it at least 30% off is I don't want to use any of my own money. And I only use asset-based lenders. Now, when if you don't know what an asset-based lender is, I know you do, but if you're listening to this and you have no idea what the heck that is, it's a lender that will lend purely on the value of the property, not on the purchase price. I'm going to say this again, based on the value of the property, not on the purchase price. And the value of a commercial asset generally is based on the income. So if you have a property that spits off, let's say $300,000 of gross income, that's all the income that's coming in. I'm going to use bigger numbers than 30,000. I'm going to use some better, juicier numbers. So if it makes $300,000 of gross, that's all the money that's coming in from the rents from the year. We keep around half, so that's about $150,000 of net income. And at $150,000 of net income per year, the value of that would be about $1.5 million. You just add a zero. It's about 10 times whatever the income is. Now, different properties have different values. Like if you're in Chicago, it's going to be worth a lot more than 10 times. If you're in New York, a lot more than 10 times. But if you're like in Toad Suck Ferry, Arkansas, it's at least 10 times the value. So that's kind of the baseline that we use, which is whatever the net is times 10, that's kind of the value. And the bank will lend us around 70% of 1.5 million, which is about $1.05 million. So as long as we buy it for under $1.05 million, we can actually use none of our own money. So I've specialized a way of knowing where the money is, because that's important when you're buying. And number two is, how do we find properties that are well below 30% off, that are not in ghetto areas, that are not in war zones, where my daughter can go get the rent at 11 o'clock at night and still feel safe, because that's kind of the litmus test for me. That's not going to need work every single day, and it's going to be as hands-off as possible, because we use third-party management anyway. I don't ever manage property and go bananas, because I've picked up, we do 1,500 a year, and I've been doing this for now a good 10 years. So if you do the math, we're doing pretty well. And yeah, so A, how do we get access to the cash? And B is, how do we find properties that are well below 30% off? And if you put everything together, you're buying as many assets as you want.
Yeah, it's hard. If you think about life with your money, you're pretty limited. If you think about life with other people's money, it's unlimited, right? So also asset-based lenders, they don't care about your credit either, do they?
No, I'm Canadian. So don't care about credit. Don't care about your credit. If you're listening to this, you just got, your 3 cars repossessed yesterday. You're about to file bankruptcy. Doesn't even matter because they're lending the asset the money. They're not lending you the money. You don't matter at all. Like, you don't matter at all.
Some of them are kind of hoping you don't pay because they'd really rather get the asset.
That's exactly right.
And so in this hot time, this hot economy where they're selling storage facilities and they're selling mobile home parks and selling apartment complexes at 4% cap rates. How are you finding deals, that fit this mode, this MO?
Well, it's really a numbers game. So we make a lot of marketing. And by the way, all the marketing we do is free. I don't believe in spending any money other than an education. I think someone is well educated and they learn something, they don't need to use money anymore, or they can maximize their profits very quickly by getting it back quickly. Everything is done through an online platform or online process where we make a ton of offers. In fact, every offer, we probably make 100 offers an hour. Now the offers we make are all verbal or through email, and they're not official necessarily offers. And every offer we make has to have a no attached on the response. If we make an offer and they say yes, we offer too much. And a lot of people, when they first get into real estate or they're in real estate, they want to make an offer that gets accepted. And the problem with that is if you make an offer that's accepted, you could have gotten it for less. And the name of the game is to buy it as cheaply as possible. And you can't get it cheap if they say yes. So we're looking for people.
How do you overcome that? You just have like a due diligence period and then you go find out all the problems.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. So it's like a shark. We bite onto it with a contract that allows us to have very, very little or no money up front. Has a good due diligence period, and during that period we can figure out exactly what's wrong with it, what's right with it. We don't like it, we spit it back, and if we do like it, then we have the real earnest money deposit that goes down so we can actually go towards closing. So
yeah, you take them off the market though, especially in their mind, they're off the market, so you're not doing all this due diligence while they're shopping you around.
Nope. And yeah, that's correct. So we're in control at all times, because I can't tell you how many times we, put the property under contract and, they're shopping it to somebody else and our due diligence time ends and then they sell it to somebody else for more. Our agreements actually don't even let them put it on the market or even let it, they can't even sell it to someone else until they've given us everything that we've asked for, or we're continuously in a contract. So it's a very, that contract has cost me tens of thousands of dollars over time, and mistakes, actually millions of dollars if I count the mistakes, because every time that we make a mistake, we keep adding it to the agreement. So it's a very robust agreement. And we're looking for people that have generally the 5 Ds, divorce, someone's getting divorced, they want to sell it quickly. They're displaced, they're going from Chicago and they're moving down to Florida and they want to sell the property quickly. They have a disease, which is number one. Actually, the number one cause of bankruptcy in this country is medical problems, which is very sad. And even if you have a medical problem, like we're closing on a hotel, it's a very sad story. The guy has cancer, he's dying, he's going to be, this is his probably last month alive on the planet, and he has a hotel. His kids don't want it. It was on the market for about 1.5, and we got it for 500,000. And we actually made an offer that was substantially higher than that. He says, "Listen, I don't want to haggle. If you give me $500,000 and you close this week, which is when we're closing, I want to close out my affairs and be done, and you can just take it for $500,000." And this thing is worth. He had it in the market at already a discount. This thing makes $200,000 a year. So, if you're buying something that's net, by the way. So if you have $500,000 asset that makes $200,000 every single year, it's a 40% return. That's pretty damn good.
You're done in 2.5 years.
We're done in 2.5 years, exactly. And so that's actually quite common. You have baby boomers that have all these assets that their kids don't want it. Their kids maybe are on drugs, or they're not interested in real estate, or they don't want to pass on the torch, and they just don't want it. They just rather work.
I was thinking this might be a great time to buy businesses and probably real estate based businesses, but any kind of business, because right now the millennials don't want to be tied to anything. Their fathers and their parents have built these businesses that may even be 2 or 3 or 4 generations old, and the kids these days aren't into it at all. And they got to do something with these assets because they're getting up and it's their time to enjoy the victory of their spoils. The spoils of their victory. And absolutely. I think it might be a wonderful time to buy businesses, and real estate based businesses are even better because they're a little easier to figure out because you've got, the value in a appraisable, tangible asset. But yeah, so you do the same thing that, people ask me, how do you buy so many houses? I say, I buy a lot of houses. It's all relative, right? Somewhere across the street, there's a guy who can wipe his ass with the amount of houses I buy. Somewhere across the street is a guy that can wallpaper his house with my money. But there's a lot of people that would like to be in my position or your position. So that being said, I'm on pace to buy about 120 houses this year. I'll owner finance about 80 of them. And people ask me, how do you do it? And I say, you've got to learn how to marketing. And it really doesn't matter what business, right? You're in the marketing business. That's the business you're really in first and foremost. And then you learn how to manage what you're marketing for. But you have to overwhelm the system. When you tell me I'm making 100 offers an hour, you overwhelm the system. I could see where you could find that very thin slice of pie when you're putting out that much effort.
Oh yeah, we're putting out. It's a machine that's going out, and we know that we're only buying 1,500 units a year. So we're really cherry picking. It's a funnel. You have all these offers here. Everyone's going to say no. You have a couple that say maybe, and those are the ones that we're going to keep working. And the fortune is in the follow up, as you know. Just because they say no today doesn't mean they're going to say no tomorrow, or the next day, or the next week, or the next month, or the next year.
How long have you been tracking this guy that you're buying the $500,000 apartment? How long have you been tracking that guy?
We started dancing I'd say the fall of last year is when we started communicating, and we're closing fall now. So it's been a good year since we actually started this process, and it's normal. It's not a get rich quick. And at the same time, we're buying it now. We're using obviously none of our own money to buy it. We're buying it for 500, but we're actually getting 800. We're pulling 300,000 at closing. We're going to rehab the place so it looks really good, maybe, and improve some key features of the property. There's a liquor license that's never been used. There's a bar that's never been used, so we're gonna capture on that. And there's ski mobile trails all over the place. It's very close to a big mountain. It's in New York, it's in the Adirondacks. And it's got 9.8 acres, and the footprint of the property is and
the kids don't want anything to do with it. Don't want anything to do with it. Daddy,
and again, I don't want to be crude, but the guy said, if I give it to my kids, they're going to sell it for even cheaper, and they're going to go to Vegas and it'll be hookers and blow. And I don't want to participate in that. I would rather just know that I'm going to give them whatever I know that they can have. I don't want them to squander it. I don't want them to run it into the ground. I just want to give it to someone that knows what the hell they're doing. And here we are. And that is extremely common. And in the apartment space, like I said, are we going to pick up a 300 unit apartment building that is in prime location in an A class? No, we're not going to buy that at 30% off. In fact, they're selling that for more than it's worth. We're never going to buy one of those. Have we bought some of those? Absolutely. Have they been off market? Absolutely. In fact, 90% of the properties that we buy are off market, meaning that we bought a property from someone that knows somebody else, and these, money knows money. And if you take care of someone with, that is going through a hard time, and you treat them compassionately, with respect, and you do what you say you're going to do in the timeline that you promise, they're going to know some other person that says they're selling, 6 of their assets too. Can you take care of them? And they know we're not retail buyers. We're never going to be your highest cash offer, but it's going to be cash. It's going to be quick. And in exchange for that, we just need a discount. And if you're okay with the haircut on your side and cash on our side, we're going to get along just fine. And I teach people exactly how to communicate in those ways. We're not trying to take advantage of anyone. We're not trying to overpower anyone. We're not being, crazy, arrogant. We're just looking to buy the right property at the right price. Because in real estate, you make money on the buy. You never make money on the sell.
Well, you're just walking around town saying the same thing. I do. It's just, hey, I got a little jingle in my pocket, and I'm ready to write a check. Would you be interested in an offer? That's all you're doing. So you find someone who raises their hand. That's all you're doing. How much do you spend a month on this advertising?
How much do we spend a month? 0.
Okay. How do you do that?
It's all internet based. It's all people that are already advertising for property, or people that we've already bought properties from that are contacting us. And it's not a secret. I teach this stuff, and this is how my model works. So I have two basic arms. I have the acquisition arm, and I have the education arm. And the education arm feeds the acquisition arm. So if someone comes and wants to learn how to do this using it's actually forbidden for you to spend $1 of your own money on marketing or buying an asset of any kind. You're not allowed to use your own money ever. It's forbidden. I'll say it again. It's forbidden for you to use your own money. So, because if you,
there you go. So if you're out there thinking, I don't have any money, so I can't get in the real estate game, we just shot that plan all to hell. You can't say that anymore. So
it's all an excuse. Everyone has an excuse. Don't have the time. Well, you can make, if you're watching Netflix, you have time for real estate. If you're watching movies, you have time for real estate. If you're on Facebook for more than 10 minutes a day, you have time for real estate. Just in fact, anyone that takes my program, I start with a very simple website where people advertise their properties all the time. Some for sale by owner sites where it's very easy to make an offer online. You just, say the right words at the right time. And if they're structured properly, like you actually sound like a real buyer, not like someone that just came out of a seminar, but sound like a real buyer, because that's what I teach people to be, buyers. And if you buy it right, you're going to get if you communicate right, you're going to buy it right, and you're going to be able to make the right amount of money. And the money's available because you bought it right. Because if you don't make a payment, guess what? They're taking it back, and they'd rather have the property anyway than lend out the money at 10%, because they make way more buying taking the property back than they would lending you the money anyway. But again, our process is buy, get the property up to improve it in some way so we can increase the income, and then refinance, pull out cash, more cash than we borrowed. Then you have some tax-free capital. And I say tax-free, it is tax deferred, but it's kind of tax-free. It's not a taxable event because it's borrowed money for now. And then you can go ahead and buy more with that. And you just keep recycling over and over and over and over again. Okay,
so you teach this, someone who's hitting the numbers that you're hitting, there's no doubt that you know what you're doing. If this, I'm talking to the audience right now. If this is what turns you on, and you've been looking for a program with zero money and playing in a bigger arena, I say bigger, you still got your smaller hits, 3 to 4. I think the first thing you want to do is teach them how to buy their first 3 to 4 to 5 unit complex, which is not going to be a multi-million-dollar complex.
3 to 5 first, and then I see and then from 3 to 5, I see what their work ethic is, because everyone wants to buy a huge hotel that makes $500,000 a year, kick up their feet and retire. Well, that takes a certain amount of work ethic, and we're not going to teach people those skills until I see that you've actually closed a 3 to 5 using none of your own money. In fact, that's the guarantee. Anyone that comes to any of my classes at first, they're very small classes. They're 20 to 30 people per class, and that includes you bringing up to 4 guests that are family. I want you to bring your wife, your spouse, your kids, your girlfriend. Don't bring your girlfriend and your spouse. It'll get weird. But just bring your family so you can get involved as a family, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. I'll give you some marketing material before you even attend, so you can actually see that it works. We have a first day unconditional money back guarantee. If you don't like it after the first day, no problem. Here's your money back. I don't want to take anyone's money that doesn't want to give it to learn this thing. And if it's not for you, that's okay with me.
You sound just like me, Mike. I'm not twisting anybody's arm to come over. I mean, if you want to, and we seem like we're a right fit, go ahead.
Yeah. And
if we seem like a right fit, then let's do it. Like, I'm not hard closing anybody, because the last thing I want to do is try to work with someone who really doesn't want to be there, or change their mind or whatever. It's like, I'd rather not.
If you want to work for a living, well, you have 2 choices. You can work for a living, work for money, or you can have other people's money work for you, that's all I do. And no one's going to give you money to do a deal unless it's a good deal. And then, so it starts with the great deal that you have to find. That takes a little work and effort. And it's harder at first because it's a new set of skills. You think you have to do this, but you really have to do that. It's a little counterintuitive, because it's not just about making low offers. It's how you make the low offers where you're not hurting their feelings or them feeling insulted or feel like you're a bottom feeder.
It's in the tiny details of how you talk to people.
It is.
You're going to pay for this education no matter what. You're either going to pay the street, or you're going to pay in lack of success, or you're going to pay someone who's already been there. And it's just a lot less anxiety to get in a room with someone who's already doing what you wish you could do on the level that you wish you could do it. It's just a lot easier. So look, you got a giveaway for the audience today.
I do. I sure do, and it's pretty cool, and you're going to love it.
What do you got?
How about a marketing plan on how you can start marketing for some of these small deals?
We're going to send everybody to reinvestorsummit.com /, and this is a little long, but it's appropriate. I think it's better to be appropriate. reinvestorsummit.com / zero money needed. Zero money needed, okay? And you're going to go over to that link, and that's in the show notes, tell us what your giveaway is there, Marko.
It's going to be a marketing plan, basically, exactly what I said, how to find these 3 to 5 units using none of your own money, how to actually see that they're there, how to communicate with them, and see how easy it is to actually acquire. Now, once you do have them on the hook, you're going to need some help. And as I was saying earlier, is anyone that does attend a class, we actually have support, a whole support team, and my entire support team are students of mine, followers of mine that have had a job, quit their jobs because their passive income surpasses their actual income, have over $5 million in assets. That's at least $500,000 a year of passive income. You can't work as a mentor for me unless you have that. And these are the people that are actually helping you to close your first deal. So it's student helping students, basically. And then one day, if that's something that you want to do, you can ascend and help us out as well. So I've really built a community of people that are helping each other, because there's tons of opportunity out there. I don't believe in competition. There's only colleagues. And the more people in the network, the better, because one person might get a hotel that they can't handle that someone else can, and we just share deals. And that's how we all get rich together, is the more people in the network, the better it is. And again, it's forbidden to use your own money to do any of this. So there is an investment in the class. It's not a large one, but it's going to hurt. It has to hurt a little, because if you don't pay attention. And we want serious people there, and risk-free. Try it, don't like it, here it is. And no, at least you tried it. And I'd rather you try something and not like it than never do it, and you never get results, because you'd be surprised at how simple this can be. It's not easy, but it is simple. I want to say that.
Yeah. Don't be one of those people that, you go out there and you mess up on your first couple of deals, and then you walk away from a career that could have been a multi-million-dollar career for you. You just didn't get the right help soon enough. And so you missed out on the whole career because of a few bad turns. So again, go to reinvestorsummit.com/0 money needed and pick up your free marketing plan from Mark Kozlowski. We could talk about this stuff forever. We could go, you and I could probably talk about the ins and outs of this business for a solid week before we could even sit down to eat.
I'd be hungry though.
Yeah, we'd be hungry, but
I didn't get this big by accident. I'm professional.
All right. Well, tell me, how many? What's the average size complex that you're buying these days?
Me personally, I don't do anything that's under 100 units.
Yeah, and you've gotten to that level, and that makes sense. What's the average that the people are buying when they're starting out in say like their first year and a half?
Everyone gets a 3 to 5 unit within generally 90 days of them attending a training or within the training. So either before the training, during the training, or after the training, within 90 days, everyone gets a 3 to 5 using that of their own money. Then generally it's 20-ish units. Then they go to 50-ish units, and then we go into hotels. And what I like about hotels is no one teaches it out there, and I only teach it to us, again, those that have the right work ethic. And the beauty of a hotel is it makes $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, even $1 million a year. We're looking at one right now that makes $1.5 million a year net, that we can pick up for around $7 million. So
I'm going to guess that you've got hotel management companies or someone that takes over, because I don't see you managing the damn hotel.
Oh, no. I'm the investor. And I say that loosely because I'm really using other people's money. I'm only the engineer. I'm the one that puts everything together in order to make it work. But I'm basically, just conducting. That's all I'm doing. Is you're taking your money over here, this management company's over here, the seller's over here, and I'm just putting everything together, sitting in my office right here. In fact, if I was in jail right now and these were 4 bars and I had access to the internet and a laptop, I could do this business.
That's what I like to tell people when you're talking about raising private money or finding money. They all think it's about them. I say it's not about you. It's about the deal. What's the collateral? Where's their protection? I said Charles Manson should have been able to raise this money. It didn't matter how many murders he committed. It didn't matter. They're either going to get paid or they're going to get this asset, and they actually do a lot better if they get the asset. So it's a crude way to put it, but it was exactly true.
It's the truth. You don't even need to. Most of my clients are actually in out of the country, because I am Canadian, and for a while I taught Canadians how to do business in the U.S. because it is different. You can't have an LLC as a Canadian because you're double taxed. So there's different things that most Canadians don't know when they invest. So I spent a lot of time just teaching Canadians, and then I went to Australia, then I went to Europe, and I didn't really teach in the US a lot until recently. So now I'm teaching people in the US how to do that. I live in Florida, so it's easy for me. It's a lot easier for me to travel to Austin than it is for me to travel to Japan, although Japan's fabulous, and I can teach Japanese people or people from Hong Kong or Singapore or Australia how to invest in the US, because they can get the money just like you can. They can find the deals just like you can. In fact, we closed a deal in San Antonio, Texas, and that really nice. It's really prime look. That's actually an A location in San Antonio. Guy was actually owned a jewelry store, bought a hotel, didn't know how to run it. And basically we made him an offer that he said no to. We went back and forth for almost 7 months. And the guy that nets, we took over his debt on that one. Are you guys, I don't know if you're familiar with taking over debt, or I don't know if
Subject to?
So, kind of subject to. You can't do it in commercial because there's the Garden St. Germain Act doesn't protect you over 4 units, but kind of a wrap deal. The net after the debt service, the property itself that was underutilized makes $300,000 a year net, and we gave him $500,000 to walk. And that guy put $2 million down, and he walked away with $500,000. So he actually lost $1.5 million. But if you look on our cash on cash return, if we gave the guy $500,000, and the guy it's 30% occupied in a prime location, so we're going to double that revenue easily. So that thing should make $1 million.
I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
Are you?
Yeah, that's where I live.
I didn't know that. Yeah, we just. I'll send you the details of that and take a look at it. But we're literally going to make 80-90%. We're going to get our money back in a year and a half on that.
San Antonio's a great town.
Did you know that's one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S., like top 5? It's crazy.
Yeah. So it should be ruined any time now, but call something paradise, kiss it goodbye.
Yeah. It's a beautiful city.
I've been here since '73, and we're starting to get a little bit of that traffic, but it's the biggest small town in the world.
Yeah,
it has the small town feel, but it's 1.7, going on 2 million population. It's a really great place to be, and the cheapest properties on the planet. Very few states have, or cities have, the price ranges that we have. You can buy a lot for your money down here in Texas. All right, my friend, go to ariainvestorsummit.com/0 money needed. Check out, get your free marketing plan, and then talk to Marko about over there. There'll be a chance to get a free consultation from him or some way to connect with him. You can talk about what his other program entails, how much it is, all that stuff, get a handle on it. Call him, you got nothing to lose, and see if it's for you. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Anything you'd like to say to the listeners out there before we part? Say we got some people there trying to change their lives and make a new start. What do you say to them?
Start. That's it. Just say yes. Just say yes. You don't need a lot of time. You don't need any money, and you don't need any credit. And it doesn't matter where you live in the country. In fact, it's better if you don't live in the area. The person that bought this property in San Antonio lives in Hong Kong. So you can't get further than San Antonio than Hong Kong. So If someone from Hong Kong can buy something in San Antonio using none of their own money, no credit, they don't have any, they're from Hong Kong. All they did is learn how. And if you're open to learning how and putting in some elbow grease, it's going to be some effort. It's going to be work. It's not get rich quick. But most of my followers within 3 to 5 years retire and never have to work again. It's not next day. It's not next week. Not next year. But I'd rather retire in the next 3 to 5 years with a few hundred units. In fact, I'd like just to do this math, if you don't mind. Sure. The average profit per property per unit is around $200 a unit. So $200 a unit is the average profit. So if you want to make $10,000 a month, how many units do you need? 50. So you're only 50 units away, 50 doors away from retirement if you want to make 10.
And that's not too much to ask from one of the greatest infrastructures on the planet. The United States of America. I mean, come on, give me a break.
That's 225 units, and that can be done very, very easily. And on 10 grand a month, you can't. And I know when I was a broke musician, I thought 10 grand a month. Oh my God, I could do anything with 10 grand a month. That won't last long. Not if you want a decent lifestyle. Most are around 20 grand a month, and that's how many? That's 100 units. And we can get you to 100 units within a year and a half to 2 years if you put in the effort. So you're only a year and a half away from a really good sizable portfolio using none of your income, none of your own money, none of your credit, no risk. You just have to put in the time and the effort and invest in yourself. And I highly recommend you bring your family and even your kids. I have some 12, 13, 14-year-old kids that are doing this, obviously with their parents' support, but it doesn't matter how old you are. And what I love about kids is they don't question, they just do it like it's homework. And they don't have this little angel.
They don't have any preconceived ideas of what they can't do.
Yeah, they can do anything. And I want you to go back to that in your life where you could do anything. And I don't care, what situation you're in, whether you're in a bad relationship. I have a lot of, the person that helped buy the San Antonio one actually was in a terrible relationship, and she invested in that so she could get out of it. And, her return is stupid.
This sounds like a perfect opportunity also for a handicapped person, someone who can't get out and about, because
anyone. Yes.
I mean, I'm just saying that, like, if you know someone that's handicapped or someone who can't get out and about, they've got a lot of physical limitations. Maybe this is a thing you can do that doesn't matter,
Or if you want to donate more to your church, mosque, synagogue, whatever you believe in, you can do one for yourself, do one for the charity that you want to donate to. Wouldn't it be cool if you could give $1 million a year to charity? Do 10 units for you, 10 units for your charity, 20 units for you, 20 units for your charity. There's so many things that you can do, and you can buy things in the name of your favorite charity. People do that all the time. So there's so many options to make more money, not by putting in more labor. It was Labor Day not too long ago. I don't believe in Labor Day because Labor Day is hard work.
We're going to have a laborless day. We're going to have laborless day.
Exactly. Use your mind and just find these people need to have a high return. This people need to get to sell. You put those two people together, you sandwich yourself in between, and just have fun. Have more fun in your life. Forget stress. You don't need stress. Financial stress is because of the actions that you take now. And if you look in your bank account now, you don't like what you see, it's because of the actions you've taken in the past. Change your behavior, change your bank account. That's what I'm going to help you do.
One of the things I like about this strategy is that once you make a good deal, it's a good deal for life and it's forever, or for as long as you want to keep it. There's strategies in the real estate business where you do it and you get paid and then you got to do it over again, or you don't get paid anymore. This is if you really need to pay attention to the strategies that you pay attention to. And this is one that I would pay attention to, is because you want to look for strategies that when you do something right once, it pays you forever. So they just keep stacking up and they don't go away. And then the rents the income keeps in a normal world will keep appreciating. So
yes.
You'll be making more and more and more as time goes on, and the appreciation of your properties. Really good strategy, Marko. I'm glad that you came on. I think you're really going to be hearing from some people here. We do about 18,000 downloads a month. I didn't know this, but it's kind of like the Millionaire Next Door. I had no idea where I was, but that puts you in like the top 7% of the world of downloads.
Nice.
It's like just one of those things where the people that are doing the millions, it just drops off really fast. And the other thing is, these listeners are very targeted, and your subject should be hitting them right between the eyes. And I can't say enough. This is one of those strategies I pay attention to, because when you do something right, it'll pay you forever, or until you decide to sell it. So this is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. Again, I want you to go over to REInvestorSummit.com/0 money needed and get your free marketing plan from Marko Kozlowski. And Marko, thanks for being on.
Pleasure. It was, you're awesome. Thank you for having me. And guys, thanks for listening. Appreciate you.
Do you have a podcast, Marko?
I don't. I need to start one.
Well, call me about it if you ever want to. I learned a few things about this thing.
So, I would. Yes. And if you want to come to my events, I have events that are Orlando and Vegas. If you ever want to come, be my guest on the house.
I might take you up on that, especially over there in Orlando. All right, you guys, thanks for stopping by to get you some Marko Kozlowski and learn about how to generate some great income and forever income with zero money of your own. So we're out of here. See you next time. Bye now.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you.